Hey everyone, welcome back. So this is my monthly haul of Blu-rays for the month of June 2025. So yeah, let's get going. So the first lot of pickups I'm going to go through here, I picked up from eBay, so various places on eBay. So the first one I picked up here is a movie called Paradise. So yeah, this one, I was basically topping up my Phoebe Cates kind of like back catalogue. This one I have seen and I really enjoyed this one. This is one that's not going to be for everyone, I would say. It's, yeah, I think it's going to be a hard sell for a lot of people. But for me personally, I've got this sort of like soft spot for deserted island type movies where you've just got like two people kind of living together, surviving off the land, that type of thing. And this kind of like gets very close to that. It's not quite that, but it's very close to it. Where this young couple basically run away from a situation they get themselves into and start living their life like, you know, in paradise basically. Yeah, really good. I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, the cast is pretty good in this one. The acting's not the most, you know, award-winning of any sort. But if you like those kind of deserted island type movies where two people are living off the land, surviving, and it's sort of like an 80s, I think it's an 80s type movie as well, then yeah, worth checking out and having a look in for. So on the same theme of topping up my sort of Phoebe Cates back catalogue, I picked up another movie called Private School. So yeah, this is pretty much what you would expect. This is one of those 80s teen, you know, raunchy comedies basically, where boys always trying to kind of like peek in on the girls, that sort of stuff. Yeah, had a great time with this one. It's exactly what you think it's going to be. Some good, you know, would never of its time kind of never be made today kind of moments in here from the 80s. A real fun time if you like those type of comedy movies. Now, the next one I picked up is one I used to have on DVD, and I saw the upgraded option here on Blu-ray, I think through, it was either eBay or Amazon. This could have been an Amazon job. But anyway, either way, it was about £5 or £6, I think it was, so not too dear. And that is Robin Williams in The World's Greatest Dad. So yeah, really enjoyed this one. I did just pop it in the player behind me there to check the audio, because this is a German release, and I couldn't see if it had English audio on the back. But it does have English audio on here. So obviously region free, you can play this in the UK if you want to. Just quickly check the other two I've just talked about. So Private School is region A, that is locked, you can't play that on a region 2, whereas Paradise is region free, so on the back it will have, I think it's A, B and C somewhere down the bottom there. But yeah, so World's Greatest Dad, Robin Williams. This is directed by, I think it's, is it Bobcat Goldthwait or something like that? It's the guy from, I always know as the crazy guy from Police Academy movies. Sort of an indie comedy drama, as best way I can explain this one, I guess. So quite a low budget. I think Robin Williams is probably the biggest cast member in this film. But I absolutely love Robin Williams in pretty much the majority of what he does. I'll be honest, like I say, I just literally threw this disc in to check out the audio settings to make sure I had English audio, and I've ended up watching about 40 minutes of the movie just by accident. It sort of like grabbed me that much again on a rewatch. It's quite a dark story in places, like so. If you don't mind that, then that could be good for you. It's basically he plays a school teacher, and obviously single dad, and he has a teenage son who is going to the same school he works at. His teenage son is going through those, you know, troublesome teenage years when teenage boys like to do what they like to do. And rebel against everything, and he's giving his dad a hard time. Obviously it doesn't help that he works at the same school, so they don't see eye to eye, but they live together. His dad's basically seeing another school teacher there on the quiet as well, so they're having this sort of like private sort of you know, love affair type thing going on there, the father, Robin Williams' character. But his teenage son is basically giving him loads of grief about everything, you know, just being a normal teenager to some extent. But about 40 minutes in, this goes from kind of a quite dark sort of like witty comedy indie movie. It takes a sort of dive into a different type of film slightly. There's a bit of a twist going on there. And then it's a slightly different movie from there forward for the next hour. But really good. I really enjoyed this one. I would say, you know, if you're watching the channel, Ollie loves films. He would, I'm pretty sure you'd enjoy this one, mate. And Sammy G, Andy from Forgotten World of Movies, all up your street, I would say, through the sort of like type of humour that's in this, and the sort of indiness part of it, I would say. would probably tick a lot of boxes for you guys. So if you haven't seen it, I'd say worth checking out. This one here was one I could have sworn I'd seen years ago, but actually when I put it on the other night, I had no memory whatsoever of it, so maybe I just thought I'd seen it or had it and never got to it on DVD. But good cast, so it's got Samuel Jackson and Julianne Moore in a sort of like mid-2000s, early 2000s type movie, which is what I like. And it's called Freedom Land. I must admit, I did put this on, and I was checking the clock a few times on this one. It was okay. It was okay. I don't think I'm going to go back to it very much, but I picked this up for I think £1.90 delivered on eBay somewhere through some sort of like Music Magpie or World of Books, something like that. So it didn't break the bank, but it was fine. It was basically like this Julianne Moore's character has she starts off going through this sort of like dark street, and she ends up going to a hospital, and her hands are bleeding, and you're not sure why she's there and how she's got in that situation. And Samuel Jackson plays a detective. He is basically sent to find out what's gone on with her character, and she tells him that she was essentially going down this street in her car. She got carjacked, and the guy kind of pushed her out on the floor, and that's how she's cut all her hands open. And then a few seconds in to the story, she then drops the bombshell that actually her very young son was asleep on the back seat as well. So then Samuel Jackson basically has to spring into action as quick as he can. It's become like a missing child situation now. And yeah, basically the story goes from there. So it's very based in sort of like racial tensions, this whole movie. That's the whole kind of like main plot line through it. So there's a bit of an uproar, obviously, about the fact that Julianne Moore, losing a white child in a black neighbourhood, essentially, has all this police presence quite quickly straight after, whereas when it's the other way round, they never seem to get anywhere, and, no one seems to care. Samuel Jackson's basically this detective he's on the edge of, he's kind of like the guy looking after this neighbourhood. Trying to keep like a lot of the racial kind of like tensions at bay, if you like, by looking after it, and basically trying to keep a lot of the people in there from some of the other cops that maybe wouldn't treat them as fairly. But he's trying to walk a fine line between doing that and also giving justice to everyone he can as well at the same time. It was fine. It was fine. It's probably worth a watch. I must say, I did watch this when it was extremely hot in the UK, so I wasn't in the best of moods. And I know I spoke to Wally about this sort of like off channel, where I think I've struggled a lot this month. I had like 8 movies on the bounce where I just didn't enjoy them that much, and I think it's all due to this heat wave we had. But it was fine. So if you like those sort of like cast members, it's not a bad movie. It's worth checking out. I don't mind paying the less than £2 for it. But yeah, if it sounds interesting to you, give it a check out. So another one I picked up here, where was this off of? This was off eBay, I'm pretty sure, because this is an import. I don't think I'd ever heard of this movie, but the cast definitely won me over straight away with this movie. So this cast has got Jessica Biel, Ray Liotta, Eddie Redmayne, Forrest Whitaker, Chris Christopherson, Lisa Kudrow, Patrick Swayze, and it's a movie called Powder Blue. So yeah, I don't remember hearing about this one before. It did remind me in some ways of the movie, I think it's called The Air I Breathe. I think I picked it up a few months back, where you've got all these kind of like big cast names all coming together. And the type of movie it is basically like one of those multiple storylines kind of crossing over type stories. And again, it's one of the ones I watched in a heat wave, so I was kind of like checking the time quite a lot on this one, I'll be honest. It wasn't a bad movie by any stretch. It just didn't... I don't know, it just didn't push all the buttons that I was hoping it was going to. It was fine. I do need to give it a rewatch, like I say, because I think it was a case of I was probably just overly hot and just couldn't be bothered. Yeah, I think the case is all in foreign, so I don't think I can tell you too much about the plot. But yeah, have a look it up. On the cast, like I say, alone is worth the price of admission. I think this was only about £5 or £6, something like that. So if you can find a copy of this, it's not too dear to pick up. It's quite an interesting story. Obviously, all the cast members do a pretty fine job. But yeah, worth looking into if it sounds like a good kind of like cast that you'd be interested in watching doing a story. Trying to think of the plot line now. I watched this really early in the month, so I'm struggling to think of what actually went on. I'm pretty sure that Jessica Biel plays like some sort of exotic dancer or something like that. Forrest Whitaker, I can't even think what his character was doing now. This is what I mean. Like, it was fine. Just my memory of it is completely gone already after like 3 weeks of watching it. So there we go. So this one, I only literally just came through the door, I think, yesterday, so this is brand new in. I haven't got to it yet, but I'm really looking forward to this. This is an eBay pickup. It was not a fair price, I would say, not a great price, but it is definitely a fair price. So it's an imported one from Australia on the imprint label. And if you watch the channel quite a lot, you would have known that, I think a little while back, I was basically going through, since The Substance became my sort of favourite movie of last year, I was really digging into the back catalogue of Demi Moore's history. And this is a movie with her in that I, again, can't remember hearing about or seeing before. Also stars Alec Baldwin, and that is a movie called The Juror. So yeah, it's 1996 movie, so a 90s kind of like, I think, courtroom thriller type drama, from what I can gather. Like I said, I haven't seen this one yet, so I can't tell you too much, but from the back of the box, it basically sounded a little bit like a runaway jury type movie, where I think she's on a jury and they're trying to convince her to change other people's minds, presumably because they've got some sort of like, what's the term? Some sort of leverage over her, I would assume. But I haven't seen it. Like I say, it just looks really good. Must say the condition of this was fantastic. It came in this plastic sleeve from the seller, second hand. There's not a dent or a mark or a scratch on the slipcase anywhere. The disc is mint. So yeah, this is pretty much just like it's been watched once, if that, and shipped straight over to me. So yeah, really happy with that one. Now this one was basically one that I kind of got, I don't want to say shafted, that's not necessarily the right term. It wasn't what I expected. So back in the sort of like VHS days, I remember watching this film called Vice Versa, and it was basically a body swap movie between, I think, a father and a son, and it was fine. I don't think it was great, but it was one of the ones that I had on VHS, and I remember buying, and I remember watching quite a few times and enjoying. Now it's not got UK Blu-ray. It does have a couple of import Blu-rays, I'm pretty sure. And I saw this come up on, I think it was on eBay. Yeah, it must have been eBay through Music Magpie. So yeah, I just saw this one, and it's one of the advertisements would just say the title, Vice Versa, on Blu-ray and an import. And I thought, fantastic. So I tagged it with the sort of favourites button. All of a sudden, it kind of like a few days later, it just alerted me to say it's gone down to like £3 something. And I thought, fair enough. It was at £7 or £8, I think, before that, and I was tempted. So when it went down to £7 or £8, sorry, £3 or so, or £4, I thought, now definitely going to pull the trigger and grab that one. So when my Vice Versa 80s body swap movie turned up, I opened the packet to find, yeah, not the movie I thought. It obviously had no picture on the listing. So this is Disney Pixar's Inside Out, which apparently is called Vice Versa when you import it in from, I think, a French label. So I thought, to be fair, it was probably, I laughed enough to warrant the £3. It was worth the joke. But yeah, so a bit disappointed that I didn't get the movie I was after. I do already own the UK version of that, so that's kind of useless to me. And I just can't bother to send it back for £3. So I'll just use the case, I'm sure, for something else at a later date. So that was all the ones I picked up on eBay, so that one was a bit of a mistake, but you know, you live and learn. These two, although they've got CEX stickers on them, I did pick them up in a charity shop, again, very early in the month, and I'm pretty sure both of these were movies that Ollie from Ollie Loves Movies has recommended in the past. I may be wrong, feel free to correct me down below, mate, but pretty sure I remember him talking about these. These are 50p each, so I thought you can't go wrong for £1 for the both. First one is Dustin Hoffman and Emma Thompson in Last Chance Harvey. I haven't got to these yet, but I remember Ollie, I'm pretty sure it was Ollie that was singing the praises of this one for him, and me and him do cross over on quite a lot of these sort of like films, so I thought I'm definitely going to pick it up for the 50p to give it a try. And very similarly, this one, I think it could have been Ollie, but I tell you what, definitely did get it for me. When I read across the front of the box here that it was from the writer of High Fidelity and About a Boy, both movies I quite enjoy. Definitely High Fidelity is one of my favourites. And Education. So for 50p again, I picked that one up. I don't think I've seen it before. I may have done a long time ago. But yeah, the fact it's written by that person, was it Nick Hornby? Then yeah, for that basis alone, for 50p, willing to give it another shot or a first time shot if I haven't seen it before. Okay, so the next one is I've got a bunch of CEX pickups to do here, and then like a few 88 films / HMV pickups basically. So the first one I picked up from CEX was this one. I just had a hankering to watch this one. I saw it come up in a local CEX on the app, and I thought if I go past I will pick it up for the money. And this is a Matthew McConaughey and Kate Hudson movie called Fool's Gold. So for £3, I like anything to do with the water. When you're out in the ocean or near the sea, like I think it was there was one Into the Blue with was it Jessica Biel or someone like that? I don't know, a while back. And I remember it wasn't a great film, but I just enjoy the actual look of the movie and the setting. So yeah, I picked this one up based on a very similar logic that whether the film was good or not, I should enjoy the actual setting of being on the sea and around the ocean. Again, it's one I watched in the heat, so I wasn't in the best of moods. It was fine. I can't see myself going back to it. It's a 12 certificate, so it kind of doesn't really push anything too much in kind of like violence or gore or, you know, anything extreme in any way, shape or form. Which, you know, you don't always need, but sometimes I think it kind of helps a story like this if you're going to do like a kind of thriller type movie with a slight bit of a few action kind of pieces in it. But yeah, it was okay. Again, I don't think I'm going to be going back to it, so it'll either go in a pile to sell or to give to charity. So this one I picked up. So I think the next 3 or 4, actually most of these are the quite recent pickups, so I haven't got to a lot of these yet in terms of viewing them. This one, again, I saw this one on the 101 Filmless label in my local CEX, and for £3 I thought I'd give it a try. So this one is No Man of God. So I think this one is basically based on the true story. Yeah, so dive into the mind of the notorious killer Ted Bundy, a gripping drama. Elijah Wood stars. Basically, I think it's to do with the relationship between Elijah Wood and this Ted Bundy character, and how they get on, and the kind of strange relationship they end up having, I think, in true events. Like I say, haven't seen it yet, but for £3 for a 101 label, more than happy to give that a try. I think I recognise, was it this art? Yeah, no, it's the outside art I recognise more. But yeah, haven't given it a try yet, so let me know if you've seen it, if it's any good down below. Now, I've got a feeling I remember hearing someone talk about this, I don't think in the best light. It may have been Jodie, so if it was Jodie, you know, again, let me know down below. I don't know if it was you. Someone was telling, I'm sure I heard someone say this wasn't the best movie, it wasn't what they expected. But for £6, it was an Arrow title, I thought I'd give it a go for myself. And that is Stormy Monday. And as I've had my sort of like expectations lowered for this from whoever's mentioned it before and in a bit of a negative light, it might just be enough to like be an okay movie to watch. So I thought I'd check it out. Like anytime these drop to about £6, I'm quite happy to pick it up because it's normally with credit, so you can normally chop them back in for about a £6 credit at a later date when they go back up in value. So it's kind of like a free watch basically. So yeah, again, don't know much about this one. I'm pretty sure it's set in the UK from what I remember. Tommy Lee Jones stars. Yeah, a bit of a thriller. I guess it is. Who else? There's been another big name in this. Can't see who it's got on the back. Tommy Lee Jones. Oh, Sean Bean was in it as well. Yeah, so like I say, don't know too much about that one, but for the £6 I was willing to pick it up and give it a go. Now this one really interested me, so I can't say I've heard of this one before or heard many people talk about it, but basically this one, I clicked on it because I hadn't seen it around very much and read the synopsis, and if I'm not mistaken the synopsis sounded like it was a true story of a guy who gets locked up in is it a Thai prison? I want to say it's maybe a Thai prison. It's a foreign prison basically, and this is a movie called Pray Before Dawn. Or A Prayer Before Dawn. And I think he's a fighter in real life, like a true story, and he basically gets locked up in a Thai prison, and he decides, or he realises the only way to kind of like make it through this prison is to start fighting these fighters in the prison in like this tournament or championship that they do. So to think this is a true story should be kind of unbelievable, but yeah, really looking forward to checking this one out. I hope it's sort of like a similar fighting style to the Ong Bak type movies, but yeah, based on a true story as well. I don't think you can go wrong too far there, because it's always interesting to know that this actually happened to someone, or at least, you know, a good portion of it. So again, if anyone's seen that one, let me know down below if it's any good. But again, £4 worth a gamble. Next one I picked up, again, I think I've picked this one up 2 or 3 times in this CEX, and it's always been sort of like the £8 mark, and I've never really pulled the trigger. But when I saw it drop down to the 6 and it had the slip cover on it, I thought, you know what, and just give it a go for the £6. Like I said earlier, you can always chop it back in normally for either that much or sometimes more. And that is a movie called Incredible But True. So I've got a feeling this maybe isn't a newer movie. It looks like an older movie, but I've got a feeling it's a newer movie. It says 2022 on the front. Now, that might just be when it was released, I'm not sure. Again, don't know too much about this one, so I do apologise not knowing too much about these. It sounded like a really odd, bizarre type movie. Don't know, something to do with something strange going on in a basement is all I kind of remember from reading from the plot. So again, if anyone's seen that one, feel free to let me know down below. But yeah, £6 with a slip. Happy to pick that one up. That was all the CEX pickups. So I picked up, I think it was, yeah, HMV or 88 Films are doing a 2 for £15 deal at the moment. So I picked up 2 lots of 2 for 15. I think 2 of which I've watched, 2 of which I haven't. And I also picked up another title that I had my eye on for some time from HMV whilst ordering the 2 for 15s. So the first one that I picked up, which just came through actually today, I think, was it today? No, yesterday, sorry. Came through yesterday, is a movie that when it first launched out there, I sort of had a bit of an eye on it because I believe it has an involvement with the Jim Henson Company. And if you know me and you know the channel, you know I love pretty much anything to do with Jim Henson. I've got a feeling it could be the digital side of Jim Henson, which I'm not the massive on, but I do, you know, I do appreciate it. I'm more the practical kind of suits from Jim Henson's Creature Shop. But yeah, this one, it's a family film, so it's not going to be for everyone, obviously, but I do quite enjoy these with my family here, so we'll give this one a try, and that is the Loch Ness. So really nice slipcover on this one. Obviously about the Loch Ness monster in Scotland, but yeah, I'm hoping it's going to have some sort of like practical animatronics from the Jim Henson Company in there. I didn't look into it too deep, but yeah, I was considering paying the full £15 when it first launched for this one. To get it for £7.50 on a 2 for 15, it would just seem like a no-brainer. So yeah, I've picked that one up and looking forward to checking that one out soon. So this is one I have seen. So this one came through about a week or so ago. And this is a movie, again, when it first launched, I almost pulled the trigger based on the cast and the plot. But this is a movie with Mickey Rourke and Faye Dunaway, and that's called Barfly. So Barfly, I did actually enjoy this one. This is one of the ones I did watch in the heat and I actually enjoyed. I think it's an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes, something like that. So it's not too taxing in time. And it's basically one of these ones where the camera literally rolls through this, the front of this bar, and starts just like following Mickey Rourke's character, who's known as a barfly, and if you, like me, weren't too sure what that terminology meant, literally just like you're a guy that hangs around in the bar a lot, like a fly would hang around food or like a bar, I suppose. So yeah, he's a drunk. That's all he does with his life. He enjoys it. He has a fight with the bartender quite often, or one of the bartenders quite often out back in the car lot. He just doesn't do anything else really. He just likes drinking, and that's his thing. And the movie is essentially the camera just follows his character around in his sort of like everyday life, for example, for a period of time, like a few days. He gets barred and kicked out of this pub a few times, or this bar for a while. So he ends up going to another one where he bumps into this other character, who's Faye Dunaway's character, and she's basically almost the female equivalent in another bar. She's someone who likes a drink a lot, and she's just sitting at this bar. They end up hitting it off. Both of them are basically kind of quite isolated characters alone, but together they kind of like form this friendship, and they start like hanging out together and seeing each other socially, sort of like, I say socially, like at an apartment. They don't do anything else really. They're not necessarily great for each other. It's kind of like a drama, I guess, movie in terms of what type of film it's like. I really enjoyed it though. They get themselves into some situations. Mickey Rourke for me in this was fantastic. I thought he was doing an amazing job in this film all the way through. But yeah, it's one of those films that literally just comes, like I say, rolls through these bar doors. It starts following this guy like through his life for a certain period of time, and then it literally, I think, ends the film by exiting the bar doors backwards or something like that. The same way you came in after you've watched him for a few days. So there's not a massive like not a massive plot necessarily, not a massive kind of like story arc or anything like that. It's just one of those films, but it was really enjoyable the way it's done. It's all sort of lit with lots of neon lights, as you kind of get the impression from the cover. So yeah, quite dull and dingy. Grimy was the best way I could kind of think to describe the aesthetic of this movie. But yeah, one I did enjoy, and I'd kind of recommend checking out if it sounds anything like what you'd enjoy. So this is one I think I watched last night or night before. I'm pretty sure Nicky at Skincrawler's here. My pal Nicky, he picked this one up, and I feel like he said he wasn't too keen on it. I may be wrong, so I do apologise if I'm wrong on that one. But I was intrigued. It was an 80s movie, so that sparked my interest. It's sort of a horror / thriller, and there's a movie called Crawl Space. So yeah, it was fine. It was okay. And again, this one, it wasn't particularly in the heat yesterday, but it was just fine. The thing I kind of thought with this movie, I enjoyed it while I was watching it to some extent, but when I got to the end, I just kind of thought to myself, am I ever going to want to watch this one again? And the answer probably, truthfully, is no. Like, I probably won't. It's great. It's got some good practical effects in there. It essentially follows this guy who's on the back cover here. He's a landlord to these apartment buildings, and he has all these sort of women staying there, and he's essentially crawling around, as you would imagine, in the crawl space. So like the air vents and air ducts of an evening, just spying on them through the air vent, spying on them through the air vents. So yeah, he just kind of like sees what's going on, and again, it just follows him around. Seeing what he's doing. Then there's another guy who comes along, and he's suspicious of him for potentially murdering someone who used to live in the building, who's related to him. So he's like on his case, and he's trying to like work out what this guy's up to. Like I say, it was fine. I just don't know how much rewatch value it's got for me personally. So the other one on the last one here on the 2 for 15 deal I picked up is a movie that's constantly been on my kind of like to pick up list for probably years now, but I've just never got to it. So I think what pushed me over the edge was I was going through again there's another actress that I was trying to pick up a lot of movies from a while back. I think it's Kelly Preston. So I'm pretty sure this is one of the ones that had come up on Kelly Preston's filmography. Just try and check the back. Can't see her on the back. She might have a smaller role, but I'm pretty sure it's Kelly Preston. And that is a slasher collections movie, which is called 10 to Midnight. So obviously this has got Charles Bronson in this one I've never seen before. I think I've avoided this one because I thought it was less of a horror and probably more of a thriller. Even though it's on this sort of like slasher classics, which I always assume are going to be like 80s kind of like horror movies. I may be wrong, like I have to say, I haven't seen this one, but I've always meant to pick it up, and I finally did pull the trigger on the 215 when I was trying to find something else to go with the other 2 movies or 3 movies I picked up. So yeah, again, if you guys have seen this one and you think I might enjoy it, let me know down below. And then the final one I picked up this month is a movie which again has kind of like come from, it's been on my watch list for a little while now because it sort of spiked my interest a while back. And if you watch the channel quite regular, you'll know that I had a great time with a movie called Action Jackson not too long ago, and I was looking up the director's filmography. And I think the guy basically started off doing some A-Team episodes, so maybe that's why I like it so much. I grew up on the A-Team TV show. He did Action Jackson. He also did, I think, this movie called Dark Angel with Dolph Lundgren. Yeah, really good. I enjoyed this one. I'm finding my niches now, like in my collecting. I feel like I'm turning a corner in terms of like what I'm collecting, what I'm enjoying, and my tastes. I might do a separate video on that like later down the line somewhere. But yeah, this is definitely falls into one of those little niches again. So it's not going to be a film for everyone by any means, but it's a sci-fi action, borderline horror to some extent onto certain scenes, I guess, but pretty much action sci-fi, I'd say, from the 80s. Really enjoy the aesthetic of this one, how it looks. I really enjoy the practical effects. Dolph Lundgren for me, sadly, was horrendous, I would say. Although horrendous to a point where I could actually enjoy him. Like he just felt so wooden. He felt like he was literally just reading his lines for the one take that it felt like he'd done, and they just stuck with it, and he was just ready to move on. But maybe that was just me. But it didn't take away. If anything, it kind of added to it, because if you're in on these type of movies, you're all in, I think. And that was just one thing that I quite ended up enjoying about the movie. But yeah, lots of action, lots of practical effects. Again, the basic storyline of this one, I think, was... I did watch this one a little while back, so bear with me. I think this was essentially... he plays a cop, and there is a alien, I want to say. Is it an alien? Yeah, basically an alien comes down, it reminded me of a couple of things actually. It reminded me of the guys that come down in the Critters movie and try and catch the Krites. It reminded me of those. So basically two similar people like that drop down to Earth. One is basically trying to catch the other one, and the main guy, he's basically, it's a bit of a convoluted idea I think, but essentially the alien that's come down, he has realised, or they know that on their planet that the chemical given off by humans, like endorphins, is their drug. So they are basically, he's going around, he steals a load of heroin and starts pumping it into random people down dark alleys and stuff, and then extracting, shall we say, the endorphins that come off of people enjoying the high of the drugs he's pumped into them. That makes sense? I think it makes sense. And then, yeah, he's basically taking that and with the intention of going back to their planet, which they're running low on this stuff now, and selling it for a high profit. That's kind of the idea. It sounds ludicrous, and it kind of is, but it's sort of enjoyable. Yeah, that's the idea about it. And then Dolph Lundgren's character kind of gets caught up in the crossfire of all this stuff, and he's sort of like trying to work out what's going on and if and how he can stop it. But yeah, I had a great time in this one. Some great sort of like one-liners, some great action tropes in this one, some great scenery in this one. But yeah, I personally really enjoyed this one. Again, it's probably not going to be for everyone. Cool. So, that was almost it. I almost forgot. So then one of the first things I bought, I thought that was everything. One of the first things I bought in this month was a bundle, a Blu Ray bundle off of eBay. So the Blu Ray bundle turned up. So I got this big box of movies. Now, I'll be honest, I only actually wanted one movie in this whole bundle, but for the price it was going for, it was worth paying the money to get the bundle just for the one single movie. And you'll see why when I open it up probably. So again, if you know me and you know the channel, you know I like sort of like controversial humour, I guess, like it would be called. And one of these movies is going to be known for that, I suppose, nowadays. Sort of, it wouldn't be made today. The topic's a little bit, yeah, not PC, shall we say. And it's very hard to find Blu-ray. It's kind of like, I say hard to find, it's expensive to find if you do find it. Even on CEX, I think they're £20 upwards. So the bundle was on buy it now deal for around the £6 mark, I think it is, with about £3 postage. So we're looking under £10 to get the entire thing. Now bearing in mind, the one movie I wanted in here, I was and ahhing picking it up around the £15 to £20 mark for a long time, but just never thought I really enjoyed the movie enough to warrant that. But for less than 10, I thought I'd definitely pick up the bundle. So I'll just take these out. I'll show you everything that came in here, even though the majority I'm not going to need. What I would say, though, is I think every single one of these is brand new and sealed and wrapped. So even the ones that I've already got from this bundle, I'm literally going to flip out my copies, which have been open for years now, and just put the brand new sealed up. So yeah, I'll skim through. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 movies in this bundle altogether, like I say, for less than £10, so I couldn't go wrong. So the first one in here is actually a movie I'll probably keep and I haven't actually seen before. George C. Scott in A Christmas Carol. I can hear Stuart George now crying in the comments that I haven't seen this one yet. But yeah, I haven't seen this version, but I will obviously stick this by for December. Yep, that one I'm going to keep to the side and keep in the collection. There was one which I'll be honest, I'm not going to keep. I'm not the biggest fan. Don't hate the guy, but it's just nothing I'm never going to sit down and watch. That is George Michael, Live in London. So it looks like an import DVD possibly, or Blu-ray, with the 0 kind of rating on there. But yeah, got I don't know if you can see the tracks on the back there if you're a fan of George Michael, but I personally, I could take or leave him. The next one is one which I don't think I've had, but again I've picked up a couple of times in CEX and almost pulled the trigger. It's a very cheap one to pick up, but it's got Paul Rudd in, and it's called, let me see on the side because the sticker's covering up, Wanderlust. So yeah, it looks like one of these kind of like comedy movies, which I probably will enjoy, so I will be checking that one out for sure. I may well stay in the collection. Now I do have this movie, and I'll be honest, I quite enjoyed this movie. This one is from the producers of Bridesmaids and the director of, I think, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which again, both movies I don't hate. I quite enjoy. There's some funny moments in here. And that is a movie with Jason Segel and Emily Blunt in the 5-year engagement. So yeah, I remember being some quite funny moments in this one, enough to warrant keeping it in the collection anyway. But this comes as a brand new sealed with a slipcover as well. So, you know, upgrade all round. So the next one is one of my all-time favourites, really controversial, Sacha Baron Cohen in Bruno. So yeah, I do enjoy this movie. I must admit, I don't want to say a guilty pleasure, but it is one of those ones that it just cracks me up on so many different levels. So yeah, nice to have a brand new sealed copy of that to replace the one I've already got. This one is, you know, the everyone's charity shop's best friend, because everyone's charity shop's got one of these in it, I'm sure. So that is a sealed copy of The Force Awakens. I do really enjoy this movie, but I do have it already. So again, I'll probably flip out this brand sealed new one for the copy I have. This one I will probably never watch. I do enjoy the animated original, but I've got no interest in the remake, and I know that everyone says this one is sorry, not remake, the sort of like, that's what it is, a remake, a live action remake. I know a lot of people say this is actually quite a decent remake version of what you're going to do, but for me it still doesn't quite pull enough for me to warrant watching it. And that is Beauty and the Beast. So yeah, less said about that the better. And then the movie that I actually pulled the trigger to buy the whole deal for, that has the value in there, I would say, is the movie with Gwyneth Paltrow and Jack Black in Shallow Hal. So yeah, for less than £10 I got all those movies, plus mostly this one is the one I was actually aiming for. I don't know what it's going for on CEX now, but I remember watching this one back in the day and having a fairly good time with it. It's inappropriate humour, you know, it's like the Dumb and Dumber type stuff that I remember really enjoying, and to have it new and sealed, it just, yeah, I couldn't say no to that offer. So that's the last thing I picked up in the month of June. Forgot where we were. So yeah, that is everything I picked up there. The video went on longer than I planned, as always, and I picked up probably more stuff than I thought I had, as always. So if you want to see this again, maybe next month, maybe I'll surprise everyone and have less than 5 titles. Who knows? But thanks for watching, as always, and I'll see you next month. Cheers, guys. Bye.